Julie, what are you doing to me? There's so many people there.
I know, well, because you're an important client. Please have a seat. So, as I told you when I asked you to come in today, we want to get some of the facts of this case, some more information from you, I understand. And these associates are going to take that information, get it, and then I'll be back at the end of the interview to wrap things up, all right?
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Thank you.
Oh, what's up?
Hi, I'd like to welcome you to our law firm. I would like to make sure that you feel comfortable in speaking with us, but that you are confident to know that this is going to be confidential. And we would also like to make sure that you know that we're going to advise you to keep all of what you're telling us confidential as well, so to protect your own interests in this matter.
Okay.
Okay, Julie, what brings you here?
Oh, what brings me here? What brings me here? This cease and desist letter I got from National Geographic Society. I got in connection with this Save the Bear work of art that I did, and I'm freaking pissed off. I mean, I'm an appropriation artist. I take my inspiration from the street, from graffiti art, from it all started with Andy Warhol. The whole point of it is to as a social commentary, to appropriate it, to build off of it, and I'm just, screw them. Screw the National Geographic Society.
So, tell me a little bit more about your profession. And do you have an employer, or are you considered self-employed?
No, I work as an artist. I'm full-time. I'm lucky enough to have the platform now to make art when I want to make art, when I feel inspired to make art, when I feel there's a cause that I can use this platform to further.
Mr. Forsyth, hi. So can you tell us more about the inspiration for this particular piece? You mentioned that you want to, provide social commentary through your work. Can you talk to us about kind of the thought process in creating this artwork?
So where do I start? Well, this particular work, Save the Bear, I saw this documentary called Sinking Ships, and it's by this famous documentarian, Lightfoot. You must know him. He's done a lot. I saw that film. I saw a screening of the film before it was in wide release, and there's this particular scene involving a family of polar bears that's displaced because of the melting of the polar ice caps, and they eventually die. But I was moved to tears by this scene, and the cause of environmental awareness and the melting of the ice caps due to global climate change is devastating to wildlife, and that was a cause that I think needed furthered and needs furthered, that was my inspiration. So the film sort of awakened my awareness of this issue, it all started there.
Thank you. Lightfoot, you said?
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
Mr. Forsyth, hi. Do you have any professional schooling in art or design, or are you a self-taught artist?
Well, I consider myself self-taught, although, I've had mentors who really, I wouldn't be who I am today without them, but I went to one year at RISD, and being away from my sister was too traumatic for me. We're like two peas in a pod. my sister Janice and I. So I dropped out after 1 year with D. That was after I had had some success as an artist, actually, in my younger years.
And one other question would be, have you ever worked with a non-profit organization?
Yeah, I mean, today I even volunteer with some nonprofit organizations. My interests are raising awareness about foster care, about maternal childbirth death. Those are my sort of like charities that I do volunteer for. What exactly are you asking about nonprofits?
No, just raising awareness in general for educational purposes. Have you ever done that before? Because it seems what you're doing here in this case.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of my art. I mean, I use ubiquitous images. I use I use the street vernacular to overlay my point of view, and that point of view always deals with some social justice issue. So, or social justice, or political justice, or environmental justice in this case.
If I may have one more question, have you done other works that have had the same purpose in mind? Have you used you said you use ubiquitous images and, you know, the language of the streets. Have you done any other work similar in fashion?
Yeah, I mean, my whole body of work is on display at the Yale Art Museum. Go see it. Yes, my first work when I was 17, which garnered a lot of attention, as it turns out, was about foster care, because I'm a product of the foster care system in Connecticut. I've done other. This is the only piece I've done with respect to environmental awareness.
Can I ask, you said you've been doing art since you were 17, so about how many years have you been working in this field?
Well, so, so I'm 38 now, should be now.
21 years. That's a great period.
30 seconds, guys.
So when you call yourself an appropriation artist, can you describe that more?
Well, okay, so think of Andy Warhol, think of the soup cans, right? So you have a ubiquitous brand with that's sort of templatized and overlaid with different colors, and actually in that case it wasn't anything different really, it was just in different media, in 2 dimensions. But in my case, it's an overlay of color, and my work has a theme of a central message in the form of a font that I hand create at the base that says, you know, some catchy, it's usually short, it's usually like 5 or fewer characters. And like the foster care one, that was foster, right? So that's sort of, I guess I have a hard time just describing appropriation art. It's a social comment. It's a commentary on who we are as a society. I'm trying to like get people to question their surroundings, the brands that we're that we're like enslaved by, and using the pedestrian like vernacular. Like I do a lot of mural work, so I have my like big murals, like in Providence. I was just in Providence last week, and I was like doing some updates, some touch-ups on a mural of mine, and you know, I was just watching people walk by, notice it, and like sort of stand there, and think it's really cool. It's like everyone likes my art. It doesn't matter, like it spans age ranges and wealth, class, race, ethnicity. I mean, it speaks to people.
And your artwork for Save the Bear is projected to what audience?
You know, I don't, honestly, like, I don't think about my audience. I create what speaks to me. And I hope that, I think my audience will like that. So I make it for me. I'm the audience. And they're causes that I care about. And people happen to care about those too. I don't know.
Okay, next group's up.
So about the image in question, how did you create the photo?
Like you want to get like nitty gritty about like my process and stuff?
Anything you would like to tell us.
Okay. Well, I don't know who authored that photo, or who took that photo. I didn't know it was from National Geographic. I didn't know who it was. All I know was I saw a bear against a white background, and I wanted it. It's not though. I don't remember what website I got it from. I mean, honestly, it's a fucking photo of a bear against a white background. Why do I care about the copyright? And I gathered like hundreds of images online. I think that was like around July 21st, 2015. I remember that because my sister Janice had a baby that same day. But I had there were like 1,000 photos. I don't know, maybe up to 1,000. I can check my computer if you want. And I saved into a file. And I was seeking a photo where the bear was centrally sort of located in the photo, in motion toward the camera with a white background of snow or ice or whatever. And I narrowed it down from there, from like hundreds to 100, and then from there I narrowed it to like 5, 6, 8 maybe photos. And I mean, is this what you want? You want me to continue on?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So then from there, with the 6 to 8 photos, with each of them, I put the photo in Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, and I would turn it black and white. Then I would increase the contrast, and I would see from that how it might work as like a template. And then I did that with respect to each of the 6 to 8 photos. I mean, it took a while. I'm an expert at Adobe Photoshop, but I mean, it took a while to figure out whether these templates would work. And so from there, I chose that photo. I mean, I don't know what it's called. It's like Barter Island, Alaska photo, or I don't remember. I saw it in the cease and desist letter. So then I decided on that particular photo. From there, you want me to continue?
Actually, I think we might ask.
I've seen the photograph, and it looks really good. It looks like good work, and I'm just wondering if there were any other photographs that you looked into compared to that one.
Yeah, I looked at thousands. I just said, I looked at thousands, and
Yeah.
I had 100, and then I looked at 6 to 8. What do you want me to say?
No, I mean your inspiration for the hope at the end, at the bottom of it, and what the inspiration behind the photograph.
It doesn't say hope, it says save.
It does say save.
Right?
Sorry about that. Yeah,
Okay,
it does
so
say
what is the
save.
inspiration?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so, like why did I choose a polar bear? What do you want?
What the message of the
The
photograph
message of the
is.
photograph is the melting of the polar ice caps and global warming, to raise awareness about it.
When you narrowed it down to the 6 or 8 other photographs, were there any others that you made portraits of also that maybe just didn't end up making the display, or that you haven't shown to the world yet, that came out of those ones that you narrowed down? So any other polar bear paintings that you
Nah.
have?
Nothing. It's my only polar bear that I've done. I mean, since it's reached like kind of ubiquitous levels. I mean, I owe my sort of whole the access to my whole body of work. You know, public access to my body of work based on this particular work of art, the whole Save the Bear. Just because it's reached so many people.
Could you talk a little bit about the other pieces that are in the exhibit, where the picture's being shown?
Yeah, I do. Sure. I do one about octopus. It's octopuses, actually. It's not octopi, which is kind of cool. I do one about horse meat, sort of like animal rights. I do one about genocide. Let's see, I did one about the current state of the refugee crisis. You want me to keep going? I mean, I'm happy to.
No, you talk a little bit about the specific exhibit where there's photos being shown?
No, I'm talking about the other stuff in the exhibit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's all my work.
And how did you end up in a partnership with Yale for this exhibit?
Well, my sister Janice goes to Yale, actually, but that was not the reason. Actually, that's sort of incidental. By the time Save the Bear came out and was so known publicly, Yale, the curator at Yale contacted me and asked to exhibit my body of work as a sort of up-and-coming / established artist. And that was really kind of my breakthrough, I think. You know, since I've had some contact with, well, no, let me rephrase. Some galleries have contacted me about, you know, representation, but I haven't, like, acted on it at all. That's how I got involved with Yale. They contacted me about a show. We went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and eventually I said yes. And then I started preparing for the show.
So how did Yale market your exhibit? Was it more of a gallery sense? Was it more of an educational sense? What does that look like?
I think it's a museum. It's an established museum. It's not an art gallery. So I would assume that the work wasn't for sale at the show. What was the question?
How did Yale market
Oh,
the
yeah.
exhibit?
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, I didn't receive any of the marketing material. I assume they marketed it. And I think that the image was featured, but I don't know for sure. I don't know. I can't really say.
That's okay if you don't know.
I assume that they did.
Okay.
And the Save the Bear is a sort of feature in the exhibit, so yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's next group.
Good evening. Our question is to find out, have you received any monetary compensation in relation to the Save the Bear image?
Yeah. That's not my reason for creating my art. I create my art when I'm inspired to make it, and you know, by the time Save the Bear, you know, became really popular through like these promotional campaigns, and when I started interacting with the Yale Museum, through those negotiations, I ended up making some money off the showing at Yale.
Approximately how much money would you say that you made off of the showing
And also, did you receive any monies coming in from the advertisement of the documentary?
Well, I made 100 G's for the Yale show. That's $100,000 for anyone who doesn't know that. Yeah, I made some off of promo for the documentary.
Can you give me an approximate value of how much you made off of the promo for the documentary?
I mean, I can tell you I got 1%. I'd have to ask my accountant for actual figures, but I got 1%. I mean, most of that 1% has been donated to charities, but I got 1% off the phone.
Ms. Forsythe, I don't think there's any question why you do your work. You know, we're not sitting here saying that the reason you do it is for the money. We just need to know if that's part of it, because that's part of the equation we're putting together. So would it be fair to say that even though you make this art for yourself, that your primary purpose is to educate others?
Yes. I mean, I would certainly say that my primary purpose is to raise awareness. The primary purpose with respect to this particular piece was to raise awareness about the melting of the polar ice caps and climate change generally. It was not to sell the work or receive any pecuniary gain from it, from the sort of any promotions it appeared in.
Can you go a little further into the public's response of the artwork? So,
Yeah.
You know, how they responded to you, I mean, just, you know, numbers generically.
How they responded? Okay, so after I finished Save the Bear, and there was this process for creating it, and I got like halfway through that process with you guys. And then, when I finished it, I posted it to my Twitter followers. I took a photo with my iPhone, and I posted it, and I have about 75,000, I had at the time about 75,000 Twitter followers. And it just sort of, it caught on like wildfire at that point. And my Twitter followers increased, and that's actually how Lightfoot, his name is Hans Lightfoot, I forgot his first name. Hans Lightfoot actually became aware of this piece, and he contacted me, so actually that's how he found out. But the public, through the documentary really, is how the public really found out. I mean, it was a popular documentary. They used it not as the sole image, as a sort of collage of images. They used Save the Bear. And they gave me proper attribution for it. But it appeared like, you know, on their marketing materials. And I don't know exactly what those consisted of, but it became very popular at that point, to the point of almost ubiquity.
And largely, it's been a positive response, correct?
Yeah. Totally.
Do you think that this campaign has had an effect in pushing that social awareness? That was your main goal?
Yeah, I do.
Can you explain how?
Well, I mean, I get mail all the time from young people, you know, especially, and kids even, saying like, talking about my polar bear, you know, I mean, I'm getting kids as young as like 5, 6, 7, telling me they want to be environmental activists. I mean, that's big, man.
Sure, absolutely.
Sir, when we set up this meeting, you seemed fairly comfortable that that there was no legal issue that you thought on your side. We're wondering what your experience, your knowledge, or your understanding that's leading you to think that way?
My gut. My gut's telling me, you know, there's nothing I did that's wrong here. I'm just doing what my friends do, like Kuntz and Hearst and Banksy. I was with Banksy like last night. I told him about this. He was like, "What the fuck, man?"
And believe me, I feel your pain. But have you ever dealt with anything like this in the past? You said you're an appropriation artist,
Yeah.
or someone felt you appropriated maybe a little bit too much?
I haven't.
You haven't in the past?
Okay. So on that point, you said that you went through a number, you didn't pick this photo out because it was National Geographic specifically, but the photo that they sent to you, do you question it? I mean, that's the photo that you used as your inspiration, or that, for your transformation into this piece of artwork? You don't question that, or do you question that? It may be a different photo.
I don't deny that it is.
Now, with the owner of the documentary, or the creator of the documentary, did you enter into any kind of contract with them for your image?
Yeah, I mean, that's how we arrived at the, what did I say? Did I say 1%?
1%.
Oh, 1%, yeah, it's 1%. That's how we arrived at the 1% value.
And that was after you created the image?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
totally.
They saw the image and they wanted.
Yeah, so my viewing of the screening of Sinking Ships was completely separate and distinct. I had no contact with Lightfoot or anyone involved in that matter before or when I created the image. It wasn't a screening for me, it was just a screening that I happened to be able to squeeze my way into. And then I was so inspired by that particular scene that I said, this is the perfect subject matter to sort of put my aesthetic, my twist on.
That's next group, guys.
Thank you.
I just want to just follow up on a quick question where you had talked about the documentary and how they marketed the use of your image as part of a collage of images. Did you explain that a little bit further?
Honestly, I don't think I can explain it that much further because I haven't really. I think I saw the one promo for it, and I would describe it as a collage. But honestly, I don't have enough recollection to know anything more than that.
But yours wasn't specifically featured. It was part
I mean, it was featured as part of 5-6 images.
Yeah.
But that's all I really know.
Can we take a couple of minutes and talk a little bit more about the profit, about the communication with the different the organizations? So what the arrangement is with Yale, how they gave you the 100,000, how they described that, maybe a breakdown of it?
Well, I have my counsel for that is not you guys, so they know the specifics of that negotiation process. All they told me was is this amount of money acceptable? I said yes.
Okay.
And so they paid that in lump sum after taxes.
And do they buy the material for you, or is it on loan? Will you get it back? Who owns your image now?
I own the image.
Okay, so it's on loan.
Yeah, it's a license.
Well, what's gonna happen to Save the Bear after this exhibit's over?
I don't know, man. I hadn't thought that. I mean, I'm sort of on to other images now. I mean, I produce a lot of work now, and there's a demand for my work, and I don't really think about it.
I just have one more follow-up question. I thought I understood it correctly, just to make sure. So out of all the artwork that you've done in the past, and you're appropriating images and changing them, you've never come across another cease and desist letter or infringement letter like this where you shocked when you received that letter? You're like, what is this?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, I didn't. I mean, it was all in lawyer speak, and I don't know that stuff. My art, this type of art, is basically a screw you to copyright.
Any communication with National Geographic beyond the cease and desist letter, and does Lightfoot know about the cease and desist letter yet?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to Lightfoot in a while. And what was the first part of that?
Anything with any other contact with National Geographic? Any
Oh, no.
affiliates? That's
I
it.
have no reason to contact them, and after this, I really don't have any reason to contact them, except to go.
When you got the, when you found the image, you said you probably could find where you got it, what website? Do you
I don't know,
think?
no, I couldn't.
Can't figure out.
No, I mean, I downloaded like 1,000 images. I mean, you know, now that you're telling me that it's from National Geographic, it's possible that I got it from there, but I mostly did searches of like Google Images.
Yeah, Google.
And you can download directly from Google Images.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, well, you've told us a lot of information today, so thank you very much. Is there anything else that you want us to know, or anything you want to add about your art, or maybe something we should have asked that we didn't?
That's a good like catch-all question. Let me think for a second. I don't think you got a full picture of like the steps that I took to create it, honestly.
Can you give us more information then?
Yeah, so I brought you up through the Photoshop and the selection of the image, but there were some steps like after that, because I also use Adobe Illustrator. I can't remember if I used InDesign, but I know I use Illustrator. And in Illustrator, well, so I created these bitmaps of different layers, basically. What I did was I basically used that image, that photograph, as I reduced the contrast. This is back in Photoshop, just to review. I black and whited it. I increased the contrast so it would work as a template. I created 6 bitmaps, and I took those bitmaps and I put them into Illustrator. In Illustrator, in each layer is a sort of different color. So I colorized each layer. I put them on top of each other. I can't remember if I rasterized or not. But from there, once they were all together, I made sure the edges were even. Did a little bit of work there. I actually took also I darkened the left ear slightly, and I made a few changes to the eyes. And from there, I finalized the image, and oh gosh, I forgot about the font. I took about 24 hours to hand create that font. That's not like a font that you find in Microsoft Word or anything. And yeah, I think from like maybe July 23rd to 24th or 24th to 25th. I can't remember. I know it was like 24 hours. To make that font, and then I put the font on a separate bitmap, then combine the layers, and we have a final image.
So, how long in all do you think it took to make the, say, the bear?
Maybe like July 21st to July 24th or 5th. The process. I mean, it wasn't all day every day. I mean, certain parts of it were maybe like I know I spent a long time with that font.
So they want you to cease and desist. And you don't want to. You want to keep using Save the Bear.
Yeah. I think I have a case.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have a defense to that.
Yeah. In your own words, tell me about that. What would your defense be?
That's your job. I don't know what all those defenses are. But all I know is like I didn't do anything wrong. It was something that was available to me online out of thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures of polar bears, many of which are against a white background because they live next to ice. So that was really, it's not really, I don't want to learn the basics of copyright. Like I'm not a lawyer. And after this, I really don't want to.
So would you say that the work of art that you created is totally original?
Absolutely.
After you did all those changes and added all that
Absolutely.
color?
This is my work. I would say that piece, that original, is a template over which I laid my inspired message.
about ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 7:30, do you wanna stop here? Do you wanna see if anyone else has any questions?
Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so if there's anybody else, I mean, I think you guys did a nice job on the wrap up, but pretending that they hadn't just wrapped it up, like, was there anything else that occurred to anybody that you'd like to ask before we end the interview? Amanda?
I just wanted to know if you could expand on what finalize your image meant. You mentioned that you finalized the image. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, so in Photoshop and Illustrator, there are a couple sort of final things that you do to just to make like you combine the layers, the different layers that you have, the bitmaps. You can lock the image for like against further changes. You can mark it as final. You can convert it into many different file forms. So whether it's like a TIFF or JPEG or PDF or whatever, depending on the use of it, like what you intend for it, that would dictate what file format you choose. So that's, and then you save it, and then you print it out. You see how it looks too. I mean, in the interim.
In your 21-year career, have you worked with other companies other than like Yale and MIT?
No, I kind of, in order to eat at a certain point, like I sold my stuff on the street. And that was my big breakthrough. The time when I really like worked with, like in collaboration with like a company or a nonprofit or an educational institution. Pretty much I've been kind of a starving artist for a while.
One last question, Mr. Forsyth. You said you were done with this image, you were on to other pieces. In the future, would you be open to other partnerships with other places, galleries like Yale? Would you be willing to, resell this piece or license this piece again to other commercial entities?
I'm not against it. I don't think I really need the money right now. I'm in a position where, like, I feel okay. It's more than I've ever had. So, I feel lucky. I've had people have contacted me, like a couple galleries in New York, and actually in LA too, but I haven't responded because I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to like sell out,
I have a question too. You had mentioned that part of the percentages that you receive, you donated to charities?
Part of that, yeah.
Part of that.
Yeah.
And would you be able to produce records showing your charitable?
I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, you're
I can't
accountant.
tell the number 0 from 1, but my accountant should be able to do that.
You said there was this image boosted your Twitter account, and there's obviously a lot of online awareness to the artwork. Have you had any revenue that's been generated through the internet, just given that, are people making shirts off it, or is some merchandising going on?
They could be. I don't know. I would imagine that is happening probably somewhere, but I don't know. I haven't confirmed that. Part of what's great, part about this art, this vein of art, is that like the ubiquity is a good thing for the art. Like that's the point of it, is for it to be just sort of available, out there, accessible, usable.
So the public nature of it, like your mural in Providence.
Right.
You're not charging anybody for that, people are just enjoying it.
No.
Jen had a question, and then Mary, you can ask yours.
I apologize for my lack of expertise in graphic design, so I'm glad I have you. I need you to please fill in the gap between where it went from the screen to what is actually physically in the museum right now. Like what I need to physically understand. Your screen's not hanging there.
No, no. Although I've done that before, actually. Yeah. Well, I have a gigantic printer, like a really big printer. and it's about from there to like here. And I printed out, like, God, it's gotta be like, I think that particular one, I couldn't get the printer to print correctly, so I had to print it like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. I mean, it's big. And so I printed it several times to make sure the color adjustment was right. From there, I mean, I had to choose the paper it was on even before that, like, and I went through a couple different papers to make sure, like, this one was stiff enough. I didn't want to see any wrinkles in the work or creases. So I needed to choose a paper that was thick enough. And then the final print was like print 6 or 7 or something, and then sort of had this moment, like, knew it was done, and then I signed it. And I don't do reproductions really, so like of the original, like I don't keep producing the print of that size and like that. So I didn't number it or anything.
So it is, I apologize, so it is printed on some sort of paper, it's not on a picture,
Like a
material?
canvas?
Like, so it's not a canvas and it's not like a photograph, you know how you can print your own photograph?
Yeah, so it's a type of photographic paper, giclée, and this particular is matte, but you could do it as glossy too. But it is a fine art paper with a thick stock, cotton rag, I think it is.
Thank you so much.
So you've been an artist for quite some time. If you could guesstimate for us how many works of art you've produced using a similar process to the one you used for Save the Bear, if you can just guess.
Yeah.
I know that might be a little hard.
Well, I don't want you to, first off, I don't want you to think that I have like a dedicated process. Like, it's kind of a little haphazard. You know, and so in that respect, I guess maybe not that many. I mean, I think this particular process of downloading a bunch of images, maybe 10, 11. I mean, I did it kind of differently before, and then this sort of evolved into this way. Yeah. I mean, I used to do it in silkscreen. Like, that was how I started. I got my start at 17 doing silkscreen at a silkscreen studio in Bridgeport. That's where I was born, and that's where I grew up. And so, you know, eventually I sort of got with the times and moved from silkscreen to Photoshop and Illustrator.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Have you copyrighted or registered any of your other works of art, or this work of art, or any of your other works of art?
Yeah, I'd have to talk to the attorney handling copyright for them. I would assume yes, because there is a license associated with it with Yale, but I don't know any specifics, so you'll have to call Berta and Associates, because Berta and Associates handles my copyright matters.
Isn't this a copyright matter?
No, I didn't mean I mean like contract negotiation.
They handle.
Like registration and negotiation of agreements. So, you guys are a litigation firm, right? I mean, I came to you for litigation.
Oh,
Works,
you
that
guys
matches.
definitely
You just wanna settle?
Josh wants to settle already.
We're just settling.
Settle? We're not settling.
Cops mentality.
Pete, the work part is staying up.
Alright,
I still have hot dot on the mind.
everybody's
so,
all set. Alright, so we agreed that